I titled it.
We are live.
I wanted to talk about who's buying at these prices, but yeah, we can. I know that's stock out as well.
News.
Sorry, go ahead, Steven.
Amit and I are going to do a Pokemon weekly podcast.
Bro, we need to get this guy out of this NFT nonsense that he's stuck in, and we need to bring him back to stocks.
Who said NFT? Did NFT ever come out of a text message from
me? I mean, it literally is an NFT though. Technically,
it is not an NFT.
It's a physical NFT.
I can physically hold them. It's an alternative asset class. I will send you the PowerPoint that I sent to Mitt.
Steve, how much money do you realistically think you can make in this versus in the stock market? Like, is it even kind of?
Did you even look at the PowerPoint I put together for you?
No, I didn't look at the PowerPoint yet.
Okay, I have it against the S&P returns, and it beats the S&P.
But Steve, you can invest in Sofi and beat the S&P. Like, what's so?
I am invested a lot in Sofi. We will do a whole different discussion on this. It's very interesting. Look at the PowerPoint.
Okay, understood. Welcome everybody to SoFi Weekly. We missed last week, so we weren't able to do the earnings, but Tanner and Steve did a pod on Tanner's channel. So some of you guys might have seen that recapping these SoFi earnings. So we'll go through a little bit of earnings. And stock is obviously down 25% this week. So all those gains are gone. So we'll discuss that. And
can I tell you guys something?
Go ahead.
I had a conversation as well that I recorded 2 days ago or 3 days ago. Convincing a skeptical SoFi critic, I guess we'll say, and talking about PayPal and SoFi, and I was trying to convince him. And then while I was talking with Jeremy Lefebvre, the podcast actually corrupted and all the footage is gone.
Wait, you had another podcast with Jeremy?
That's not even the first time with you, man.
Yeah, I did it the day before you chatted with him.
What did he say when you told him?
So I recorded it on Streamlabs, and only to their cloud server, which is how I did Tevis's thing. It's how I did the last conversation with Jeremy. Just this time, just not having it. So it's gone into the void, and it's hard booking 90 minutes with that man. So.
How did he react? Was he sad about it, or was he like?
I mean, I talked through his receptionist pretty much. So, or his receptionist is so rude. Andre is such a nice dude. I meant to say managing director.
Damn. Look, Tanner. I mean, you got to get your shit, bro. You got the tech shit. It's got you've been doing YouTube professionally for a while now.
StreamYard sucks. It's terrible.
The funny thing is that Tanner actually balls out on all of his like equipment. His mic is like $2,000. His camera is professional, and he's the one that like I'm filming on my iPhone right now. It's just
StreamYard doesn't fuck up though. So for the live stuff, or like use StreamYard, Streamlabs. It already sounds bootleg. Streamlabs. The fuck is that? Like,
so just so you know, Streamlabs is like a massive company, but they're not on YouTube as much. They do mainly Twitch stuff. But massive in that community. So like all the big streamers there all use Streamlabs. But that being said, it just was an unfortunate occurrence. Happens. How do you lose content? I'll literally share my screen. It's there in like, it says past recordings. It's right there. There's a download button and everything. I click on it and it says, recording not found. You'll have to come back later if you recently had just recorded this. It's been like 72 hours at this point. It's pretty sure it's gone.
Yo, what if it comes back tomorrow?
Dude, I'm checking back like every couple hours.
Damn.
But
look, it is what it is. It happens. It's part of being a content creator. You just got to take the punch and move on. Yeah. All right. So, Steve, let's talk about your raw thoughts on earnings. We're 2 weeks out of that. We popped at 1170, fell back to 849. First, what were your thoughts on earnings? And then second, what is your reaction to the stock since then?
Don't care about the stock.
Put the mic closer to your face, Steve.
Oh my God. Is that
goodness
better?
Fucking sake. Put the mic closer to your face.
Is that better?
This is what happens when you love Pokemon. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Don't care about the price going down because I'm a long-term investor. Went over this with Tanner and Tevis on their channels and you privately. The quarter was great. Commentary was great. And don't follow me because of following me and what I'm going to do. Do your own due diligence. But these prices are getting very interesting. And I am looking to write some cash secured puts at a 750 strike because if it continues to go down, I'll just get paid to buy more. And that's right around my cost average. So, I'm not worried about this because it's money that I'm locking up for the long term. And was there anything really bad in the quarter? I didn't see anything.
Yeah, outside of, a little bit of stock-based comp, but really there's nothing anyone can point to that was bad.
Yeah, it's not stuff that SoFi could have avoided. I think that's what should also be said. There are bad things for sure if I'm going to play devil's advocate, but for example, lending contribution profit. I don't know since Q2 of 2021 since we saw a decline. We saw a decline, pretty harsh one this quarter. Little over 20 million, but also we're seeing warehouse facilities are up to 6%. They almost practically went up by 60 something percent quarter over quarter. So in terms of the rate that we're paying. So, we're doing the best we can. So this was the title that I put my stream on is who's buying right now? I'd love to know. Out of you guys.
Well, look at it like this. On a September 22nd option chain, if you write contracts at the 750 strike, you can generate 3.07% on cash. If SoFi keeps declining, you own shares at 750 and you're making 23 cents per share. So your actual price you're getting it at when you figure in the premium is 727.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
That's why I'm looking at the contracts because instead of just buying shares, I might as well get paid to buy shares because I'm going to buy shares anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm curious in what you're buying right now, Matt.
I haven't bought any SoFi yet. I don't know.
Sure you're not buying Palantir right now either.
No, not buying Palantir either. Yeah, the decline, though, is if it gets below 15, that's when I start to buy because that's my average. Okay. But I don't know. I think this 25% decline is actually very well needed. I think it would be really weird if SoFi was $12 or $11 right now, given the Moody's downgrade, given CPI and PPI came in a little bit harder than we thought. I think this is a really good pullback, to be honest. It's necessary. There's no reason SoFi can't be 15 by the end of the year, as Steve says, as long as we get back to recovering and inflation has a 2 handle on it by December.
Look at it like this. Apple has declined by 10% since its highs at the end of July. Apple has generated $74 billion. Let me say that again. $74 billion in net income in the first 9 months of their fiscal 2023 year, and they're down 10% in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so
nobody cares.
That doesn't mean anything.
No, but his point is that if the largest company in the world can fall,
it's the largest component of the S&P. It's the largest component of total market index funds. Of course, it matters.
No, I know. It's just whenever comparing this is the one complaint that I have about you every week is you use flat numbers to talk about percentages.
Generating $8.2 billion a month in profit go down 10% in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised SoFi went down.
Well, look, it's completely macro. Nobody cares about the fundamentals month over month. They care about the Moody's downgrade. They care about the CPI numbers. They care about all this other uncertainty that affects all stocks as a whole. And so, the entire market is down over the past, I think on the NASDAQ, we had 5 red days in a row, something like that, all this week.
Look for the future. Minoto keeps saying that we're going to get a Q4 net income positive. Keep saying it. So I'm expecting in the end of January, beginning of February, when they report Q4, they're going to be GAAP profitable for that quarter. So that's what I'm going to judge them on, because that's what he's saying they're going to do.
Right.
And Q3, if they're profitable, if they're not profitable, doesn't matter. What matters is Q4, because for the past 2 quarters, they've continually said that.
You know what's really weird too is, like, I was even reading today. Let me bring up the quote on their earnings call. I was just rereading their earnings call today. Anthony Noto was talking about the financial services division, specifically talking about the contribution margin. If you guys compare quarter over quarter, like last quarter, we were at like 20 million. I can share my screen really here. I found this to be really interesting. Do you see that? Sorry if the dark mode is a little bit weird, but I just okay. I'm looking here at financial services revenue and financial services contribution margin. These 2 lines right here. Okay. Last quarter, we had $81 million in the financial services department, but yet negative in contribution profit of negative 24. Now, revenue went up by nearly 17 million, and the contribution profit fell to just, or well, increased, I guess, but down to negative 4 million. That's a massive leap, more than $20 million. Well, yeah, 20 million roughly, let's say. Okay. In that regard, they also said that they're expecting financial services to be contribution profitable by Q4.
Yeah,
like,
that's their last segment. That's their only unprofitable segment right now.
Right. But I don't even believe that, like, okay, you closed a $20 million gap in a quarter and in previous quarter as well, 20 million. Now you can't do 4. You're somehow that's going to need to take till Q4 to get to.
Yeah,
remember, they
might have all segments profitable and still report negative EPS, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just saying it will still be another check off the box, knowing, because this was a big dragger on the business, is like going back that, we were not making nearly as much financial services contribution margin, negative 50 million in some of these quarters, while bringing on, $20 million, $12 million in Q3 of 2021 in terms of revenue, but losing 40 million. This was a big drag on the idea of SoFi. That's going to be completely gone away. It's not a bear thesis anymore, because there's been massive improvements. So the bears, switched the topic, but this was a big one.
Like, that's what I'm just struggling to understand. I mean, I get that it's down because everything is down on the macro, but like, what are the bear cases at this point? You could argue that it's overvalued. I mean, sure, I guess you could make an argument, but relative to everything else, I don't think it's overvalued, and relative to its prospects, I just don't understand, like, what are the last remaining bear cases, because seemingly they've all been broken down with every subsequent quarter, right? You had like SBC, you had the profitability, you had all of these different bear cases that it seems as though they're all being discounted. What's left on a bear case perspective?
So if you look at the comments on some of my articles, you'll see some ridiculous bear cases. And I mean ridiculous. Like, people
like what? What's an example?
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 right now. One of them is JP Morgan can crush SoFi anytime it wants. Well, if they could, they would have. And 2, SoFi doesn't have a technology platform. Like, there are people that still believe SoFi does not have a technology platform, and they do not own the back end, and their company is no different than any other bank. The people that are bearish are not doing their due diligence, don't understand what Galileo is. They don't understand what Technesis is. They don't understand what SoFi is building, and they don't understand what they are going to be powering from their competitors in the future. Like, the bear case, this is a beautiful thing that people don't understand.
You know what? I think that whole JP Morgan, whenever it wants to turn on the jets, will do it. It's like, guys, if you don't think that's important for them, like, of course it is. It's harder than they think. I think JP Morgan's easiest way to acquire a great digital bank will be to buy one. and
they outsourced it to Thought Machine, building their digital platform. They're not doing it in-house.
Yeah, I know, but they honestly should just like take the plunge and buy SoFi. Like
no, don't say that.
Wells Fargo. I can't believe this. just like this was weeks ago, if not maybe a month ago, but it might even have been within that period. Wells Fargo just announced that they are going to do a $30 million buyback of their stock while also increasing their dividends. If you are a large shareholder of that stock, that sounds amazing. But that $30 billion could have bought you the future of your company instead. If just purchasing SoFi, you would still be in the game for the next generation of banking. But instead, you're losing deposits, and the business is the problem is, if you just look at it as a profitability standpoint, yes, things are getting better, but net interest income for all banks across the board, including, the SoFi or Robinhood or even Coinbase, everything is doing great. Okay. It's really the smaller aspects of like, okay, well, where's the bottom? How's the bottom of the pyramid doing? Where are the customer bases going? And they're fleeing from Wells Fargo, fleeing. SoFi added more accounts than Wells Fargo in the first half of 2023.
Yeah, Wells Fargo's at the bottom, second from the bottom. So you can see that they lost 18 billion quarter over quarter in deposits.
Yeah, no, a $30 billion buyback will smooth that over.
Interesting how SoFi is the only name here with a double-digit increase.
But
they're also the smallest.
They're smallest.
They're new, so they're ramping. It's more they are growing at a great pace on deposits. But look, to Tanner's credit, Wells is losing deposits. Bank of America is losing deposits.
Do you have Citizens Financial on that list, or Barclays, or Valley National Bancorp?
Barclays is third from the top. Right?
Valley's is right below SoFi.
Okay, I'm just looking at my list because those ones did quite well in terms of absolute numbers and as a percentage.
HSBC gained 23 billion, JP Morgan gained 21 billion, Barclays 18.8. I mean, there were banks that gained a lot. There were also banks that lost a lot. Bank of America lost 33 billion. Citigroup lost 10 billion and Wells lost 18 billion. I mean, these were the banks that should have been grabbing everything up. JP Morgan was the only one that grabbed it up during the regional banking crisis.
Yeah. They need to level.
If we look at SoFi's deposits, I mean, great growth.
Let me answer this super chat from Heinze Ketchup. He says, would the bear case be increasing debt and credit to buy goods and decreasing services? Andrew Tate's probably not coming on the show. What do you think of that? Increasing debt and credit to buy goods and decreasing savings.
Sorry, wait. I was caught off by the Heinze Ketchup name. I thought that was funny.
Would the bear case be increasing debt and credit to buy goods and decreasing savings? Are you talking about on a consumer level?
Yeah, I think he's talking at a macro level. I don't like that. That's something that I don't really care about at all. Like, if you really think about it, I think a bigger bear case is something like, okay, student loans are going to impact overall consumer spending, like by a larger margin, and SoFi will be there to be a bigger benefactor than any of the other banks.
Look, there are some that are still subscribing to the notion that we're going to have a recession in 24. You're going to see defaults on loans. You're going to see defaults on credit cards. And you're going to see unemployment go up. And that's going to create a worsened macro environment, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I mean, look, with the $200, $300 a month people have to pay for student loans, that's going to help with inflation because that's going to decrease more spending. And SoFi is going to benefit from that. One more from David. Thank you for the super chat. Hi, buddies. What new financial products or services do you think SoFi should offer in order to gain more members or disrupt incumbents? Anthony Noto is the next Jamie Dimon.
Steven, take it away.
Anthony Noto, if you are watching, if you are listening, we need business.
Yeah, we need those business
credit
accounts.
cards. We need business checking.
I would switch immediately.
We need loans. We need business servicing, and then we need wealth management. Utilize Liz Young. We need asset under management fees,
certificate of deposits.
Fees. I mean, it's reoccurring revenue. We need these on the roadmap.
So on that point, did you guys see the change on the APY? So
it's a new product.
Yeah. So SoFi increased their APY to 4.5 from 4.4 after the interest rates were hiked again. But they also changed something in their fine print where they were saying you can do direct deposit or you can deposit $5,000 a month consistently, and then you don't need to link up your direct deposit. You can still get the APY benefits. So I think that's going to be how I read it. Was it's going to be benefiting small business owners like yourself, Amit, or Kyle, or
No,
whomever.
but the problem is, if I don't have a business account, if I spend something with my SoFi card, I can't use the expense. That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, it's for people that are still using personal accounts. But
$5,000 a month is a lot, bro. That's a pretty
is a
big
lot.
burden. $5,000 a month, like.
But
that's not
but
easy.
that okay. So here's a couple things. One, they didn't announce this publicly. This was a fine print find. Okay, and it's important to know that because it might give us some insight into how management is thinking about it. Because like Vadim, for example, said this can kind of be bugged a little bit. If you transfer money from your SoFi Invest to your SoFi Money account, that counts as an added transfer. So it could be very, very high because it can be kind of stunted a little bit through other transactions. It's bringing on 5,000. I don't think they can really calculate how that's going to happen.
Yeah. Agreed. Thank you, TJ, for the super chat. He's a token of appreciation for the SoFi nerds. Sell puts, sell calls, collect premiums, roll if you need to improve your position. Yeah, that is Mr. The Wheel Deal. Kyle says, does Steve have an X account or YouTube channel? So Steve has an X account, but he doesn't
X
tweet
account
or post. So Steve, you need to post a little bit more. And then Steve, are you thinking of starting a YouTube channel at all?
If I can fit into my schedule, I'm considering it.
You can literally just read your Seeking Alpha article on camera.
No, I can't do
No,
that.
you actually can't.
No one
Actually
needs to
can't.
know, Steve. They're, like, it's not going to take away from the article traffic.
No.
Use
It's
the
a Seeking Alpha
Bro,
won't let you
fuck
do
their
that.
policy. You know how many times I've read a Seeking Alpha article on YouTube? This stupid ass fucking policy. I've
Yeah,
done it
you
like
don't have an
everyone
agreement with
does
them.
it. Like,
You don't have an agreement with them. I do.
okay.
Okay. That being said, however, getting away from the Seeking Alpha stuff, I did want to just bring it back a little bit to this was also something that I was talking about earlier. Like SoFi Money is exploding right now. And even going to things like future indicators, like I use website traffic, that's done me well going forward. SoFi is doing very well. Robinhood's doing very well, mind you. PayPal is doing disgustingly well in July. Anyway, there's a bunch of them. But
what do you look at? You're looking at traffic for what?
Website traffic.
From SimilarWeb? That's what you're using?
Yeah.
Okay. And is the trend for SoFi good?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm SoFi, Robinhood, Ally. Yeah, the ones that really stuck out as being very bad was like Cash App was not good at all. Chime was a definite underperformance. But yeah, it's looking very good for Venmo, PayPal. Nubank always looks great. Ally did very well. Yeah. And honestly, I think there's way more website traffic than people give it credit for. I was looking at some, I forget which bank it was, but they said, oh, you know what? It was Upstart. And they said how much of their users actually use web versus mobile. And they talk about how all these people, like they're always trying to push people towards mobile, but it's still like 30-something% of people actually use the web for Upstart. So honestly, I think maybe certain companies like Robinhood, you're probably looking at a much lesser percentage. On the likes of like a SoFi, where you can kind of see a higher age in the in client age, or a PayPal, that the web is probably larger.
What is their web traffic for July?
Which one?
SoFi.
13.42 million.
Oh, so one interesting sort of dovetail off of this is that Taylor Swift concert. I think that started it's been going on all week or something like that, or it might have just ended today. It started last Thursday. Man, I've just been looking at like TikTok hashtag usage, Google Trends. It's just the SoFi Stadium as like a hashtag and then SoFi as a hashtag is exploding. Actually, I got a text from someone that I know after I posted that video saying like I'm hearing SoFi all over the place because just friends of friends that have been to the concert or are talking about the concert, like it is just huge as an event. So that's definitely going to have a boost to their traffic, especially because SoFi was doing members benefits for the stadium itself, like exclusive access, all of these benefits around like long lines, whether there's tickets, so on and so forth. So
how many views do you want to bet their hashtag has on TikTok, if you had to guess?
I have no idea, dude.
Tanner, you want to take a guess? SoFi
What
hashtag.
time frame?
SoFi hashtag?
All time hashtag SoFi. How many views do you think the hashtag has?
Billions. The money moves.
I have no idea. And is that even the right hashtag to even be looking at if you're talking about the Taylor Swift thing, or maybe SoFi Stadium?
If I click on SoFi, all the content is relevant to SoFi. It's not like Sophia or anything. It's not short.
So I know SoFi Money Moves also had like just that campaign reached billions, I think. So I'm gonna guess it's a really giant, more views than there are people on Earth. I'm gonna say that.
No, it's 997 million, which is not bad.
Okay.
At all.
That's still crazy.
Look, you got a lot of events coming up. You got Metallica playing there. You got the NFL coming. I mean, there's a lot of events, and that's going to get a lot of traction. You're going to have SoFi all over the place.
Can I stop the party real quick? I think it's meaningless.
You think the brand recognition from Taylor Swift being at the stadium is meaningless?
No, I mean, okay. So let me reword that. I think it's good. I don't think it'll change anything. There's been massive artists that have done SoFi Stadium. Well, it's been SoFi Stadium. Don't shake your head. No, there's been like way more sales than Taylor Swift at SoFi Stadium. She probably doesn't even rank in top 5.
Who?
There was that Morgan Wallen guy or whatever that sold 21 days in a row. There was BTS.
I think you're talking about The Weeknd. The Weeknd was the second biggest. Besides
okay, sure. BTS sold out like multiple weeks in a row. I think Taylor's doing like 6 days. It's actually a pretty small appearance compared to the SoFi Stadium show-ups that they've seen.
Regardless of what the artist is, the point is that there are events taking place that people are paying attention to, and it's driving attention. I don't care what artist is playing there.
I agree.
As long as eyeballs are on SoFi. That's
I agree. But it's a matter of if we're going to see something different this time than we haven't seen before. I do think it's great. I think SoFi Stadium is an amazing purchase. I just don't think we're going to see a ramp because of this event.
I think that, like, if I were to compare, and maybe this is me just going on a stretch, but I would argue that the attendance of this particular concert, like the fan base, the Taylor Swift fan base, is of that target demographic, of that age, and possibly even of that socioeconomic status. Like some of these tickets are going for bananas prices. And I mean, people can obviously afford them if they're going to attend, where the value proposition is, if it's good enough on SoFi Stadium to say, hey, look, you can skip the line, you can get some exclusive access, some VIP, some whatever. I think that the barrier to entry for them to have a SoFi Money account or some, low barrier to entry product is going to be significant. And then SoFi can have, it can be sticky within their ecosystem to keep them on, more so in this concert than, let's say, Metallica, for example.
Yeah, no, I actually do think you're right. I do think the Taylor Swift audience is much more our target audience versus the country or even BTS lovers of the world.
Didn't Anthony Noto on the earnings call say there's what is the stat he said for our brand name being more recognized?
I can look for that.
Unaided brand awareness.
Yeah, unaided brand awareness. I think that is what Tevis is pointing to that should increase, right? Even if it doesn't make a crazy big impact on member growth.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely will. I just don't know if I don't think this is going to, I respect Kyle White and Stock Goat's predictions, but he said that because of this event and other in other sort of events, he expects 675,000 new members. And I'd probably predict that it would probably be under 500,000 this quarter.
One thing I will say is with regards to the unaided brand awareness, just building on Amit's point, like just to regurgitate what Noto said in the last call, in 2018, they were under 2%. And right now he said they're high single digits, which doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, that it like tripled or quadrupled. over what, a 5-year span. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but then he said the biggest banks in the countries, Bank of America, JP Morgan's, they're at 30%. So
Yeah.
if you think about that, it's quite insane because SoFi is a company with like 6 million users, and they have 1/3 the brand awareness of something like a JP Morgan across the entire country. It has like the ratio of users to the number of people that actually know the name of the brand is completely crazy.
Why don't we go through this and see what we can find on the call? So we said, and lastly, we saw strong growth due to the increasing word-of-mouth virality of SoFi products, as well as our effects to drive greater unaided brand awareness. As an example, our recent Changing the Face of Finance campaign, which is challenging society's gender bias with respect to women in personal finances, resulted in over 72 million impressions in the first 5 weeks. They should have added something in there where for Amit that said, like, not all of this is paid for, some of it's organic. just for Amit there. Okay, what else? What else did they bring up about this? For the last 5.5 years, our number one objective in marketing has been to build our unaided brand awareness. Unaided brand awareness is measured when you ask 100 people, when you need a financial service product, who do you think of? Okay. 2 out of 100 would say SoFi back in 2018. It bounced around a little bit. It's pretty Herculean effort to go from 2% to high single digits. Of the top banks in the country, top 5 banks in the country are anywhere between 20 and 30%. That's what Tevis had to say.
I mean, it's a big deal because, again, I think you guys might have seen the tweet last night. My cousin asked me for a high yield savings account, and I'm going to tell her about SoFi, and she's going to trust me because, you know, that's why she asked me. So someone recommended Marcus to her. That's not going to be it, right? So it's exciting, man. I mean, like everywhere you go, I'm seeing ads all day on Facebook and Instagram on SoFi. I think the one thing they have over Robinhood is their marketing and penetration is like 1 trillion times better than Robinhood. I mean, they know what they're doing in that respects.
And and honestly, what I think is so amazing about brand awareness as well, and I think it's like what's really exciting even for other fintech names like Robinhood and stuff, is that whenever you do garner such a name in media, like, for example, Chime is big and Monzo is big, but unless you're a fintech freak, probably UK people don't know enough about Chime, and US people probably don't know enough about Monzo.
I've never heard of Monzo, by the way.
Thank you, Steve. See, thank you, Steven. I appreciate that. That was a layup from Steven.
No, I'm serious. I know what
alley
Chime is, but what's Monzo?
Oh, it's just a neobank in the UK. But so if they were to come here, they wouldn't have any brand recognition. But I do think for stuff like if we're trying to expand into Latin America, doing things like hosting FIFA or whatever, or being one of the stadiums in 2026 or whatever it is, like that will definitely help. I don't know why I'm being overexposed. That'll definitely help with certain southern regions, especially if we're trying to expand there. Knowing SoFi Stadium is all over everything does give this massive global recognition, not just here in America, where it is most important now, but there's like this like very hard to calculate just overall awareness of a brand.
Yeah, no, you're right. You were definitely right. Let's do a couple of super chats. Let's do this one. I think it's on one of your guys' channel. Hi guys, if SoFi has 4 quarters of profitability after the 3rd quarter, is S&P 500 inclusion likely in 2025?
So I just responded to this on the chat, saying that the inclusion in the index would 1,000% affect the stock price to the upside, as basically large funds are going to be forced to buy it when they buy the entire basket. I mean, this is like exactly what Palantir is aiming for. They even said it on their call. That's probably why they also, the board also allowed them to buy back stock, just so that they can have positive EPS for the 4th quarter, be included in the S&P. Funds are then forced to buy. So it definitely would have. I mean, we're still far away. We haven't even hit the 1st quarter of profitability, but it would definitely have a positive impact for sure.
Can I add in the fact that it also had to do with the F shares as well. which was quite exciting knowing that they changed that as well. Because I think about that because of Shopify. But anyway, regardless.
David says, "Hey, funny buddies, do you think the spectacular six of Tesla, Palantir, SoFi, Celsius, and the other two companies I don't know can outperform Fang over the next decade?" Yeah, for sure. I mean, do we think Google 10x's over the next decade or SoFi? Like,
sure, but like 1 or 2 or 3 of these names could absolutely blow up as well.
That's
I have no idea what that last one is.
IonQ. I think it's a quantum computing company.
Okay. I know On Running or whatever, but not in terms of a stock valuation. I just know it because it was blowing up. But I am looking so heavily into Celsius right now. I think I might do like a live stream or something and talk about all the stocks that I might be doing like a batch buy, and that'll be fun.
I think we were talking about possibly doing Celsius on the stock tank.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You want to plug the show? Let people know what it is.
Yeah.
Only if you're going to be on it.
I told you guys I'm going to be on it.
Okay.
Can we just announce that right now, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so just given the fact that Palantir reported earnings last week, probably Amit is going to be on Monday to chat through Palantir and give us the full bull case onto Palantir. Steven is also going to be on the show at one point or another. I think, Tanner, some of the stocks that we have sort of that we're talking to people about are HIMS. And Celsius is definitely a possibility. But basically, the show is something that Tanner and I have been doing every Monday, where we will bring in guests, and the entire episode will be dedicated to a single stock, where the guest will have to pitch that stock to a full, bull case. Last week, we had Chris Patel talk about Disney and his whole trade on Disney. We've also had episodes on Enphase, on Unity.
Someone in the chat is saying if we want to talk about Celsius, we need to reach out to a guy named Jonah Lupton. I
think that dude's on Twitter, actually.
He's coming on the show. I was just joking.
Oh, you guys got him.
Yeah, we already talked to him.
Got it. All right. So, is there any other SoFi news, or do we talk about other stocks for the next 20 minutes?
Well, yeah. We didn't even hit on the most important thing. That
what
Noto keeps saying: top 10 financial institution.
Okay, go ahead. What's your point?
Well, I mean, the point is that he's been very clear. 2 words: financial institution, not bank, not brokerage house. And when you look at what the actual definition of financial institutions is, it's the gamut from credit unions to insurance carriers to brokerage to banks. To be a top 10, last time I checked on the market caps, the 10th largest was Royal Bank of Canada at 134 billion. I'm sure that's changed since I looked at it. But even again, the top 20, they got to crack 90 billion. So if you believe that that's going to happen over the next decade or two, this is a large multi-bagger if they get to that point. I mean, only time is going to tell. But he's consistently clear on what the game plan and what the vision is and what their goal is. And he's got contingency plans for contingency plans. And I think they can get there because, look, the younger generation is going to be the generation that is generating the most income. And they're not going to go.
Okay, here's the bear case. What if the younger generation turns out to be lazy pieces of shit that aren't able to actually create economic stimulus?
Every generation thinks the generation after them are lazy pieces of shit.
Yeah. But what if our generation, my Tanners and Tevis's, actually are really bad human beings?
Amit, look. Okay, let's just assume everybody in the new generation is a lazy piece of shit and produces zero. Okay, let's just assume that. It's a crazy assumption. Let's just do it for a second. There is going to be such a massive wealth transfer for baby boomers that are just passing down all of their wealth.
Was it like 79 trillion?
Yeah, and let's say
what do you mean by that? Can you explain what you mean by wealth transfer?
Inheritance.
People have to die,
and all of the money that they've accumulated over the best stock market over the past 5 decades is going to pass down to their kids. Their kids are going to inherit all of this fucking money, and they're going to say, oh, wait, I don't want to keep it in Wells Fargo. What am I going to do? I now have this money. I'm responsible for it. Let me go make
but
some
you're missing a part of your thesis is incorrect because there's a guy named Brian Johnson who's figuring out how to live forever. And so this idea that people just have to die.
Stop it.
Okay, the bear case is now living forever.
No, seriously, you guys are laughing, but like this he's 18 years old, even though he's 52 biologically. So if there's a world in which this inheritance doesn't happen.
Okay, but in that case, you don't think that guy that is living till 200 doesn't want to switch to SoFi?
Look, expanding life expectancy is just a normal thing. Life expectancy is expanded throughout human evolution.
Let's go back to Ron Shevlin's article here.
But
bro, I mean, just like, can you imagine 100 years in the future, Wells Fargo is going to have the same shitty app, dude. So
no, but in all seriousness, the younger generation is more likely to use a cloud-first bank than a traditional money center. And
yeah, but you know how things reverse? What if the younger generation just starts putting their money in their mattress and is like, you know what, we're going back to like
dude, just say crypto.
I doubt that's going to happen, considering this is the generation of instant gratification, crypto, Web3, and everything else. They don't want hard physical assets. They don't have gold and silver in a safety deposit box.
Okay, that's fair. I'm just pointing
out. Crypto is like a stronger argument for you to make. If like, let me just make the argument for you. Younger generations are disenfranchised with the traditional financial system. They're going to receive a whole ton of money from their parents after the parents pass away. And due to this disenfranchisement, they're just going to be like, okay, well, we want to carve our own path and we want to play a new game that is not rigged, quote unquote, or the pie is not carved, however you want to anecdotally phrase it. I'm going to put my money in crypto versus putting my money in a bank account. And that's going to see more adoption. I think that's a better argument to make than under the mattress.
Either way, SoFi needs a wealth management branch because of what Tevis just said about the generational wealth transferring from one generation to another. We need to be getting incremental revenue from managing.
I agree. Real quick, Tanner, before I share your thing, Throwable says, I can't eat gummies before this live next time. So shout out to anyone who eats gummies before SoFi Weekly. Go ahead.
Shout out to anyone who eats gummies.
We're not going to let Amit drive the stream yard.
Shout out to anyone who eats gummies.
Okay, let me do a real quick one. TJ, thank you for the super chat. What other countries is SoFi looking at? We can answer this quick. Any thoughts on this, Tanner, or is it just you?
Well, it is Latin America, so which I'm sure Brazil is the large target there, or Mexico maybe. But Noto said that will be the next big entrance.
Also Hong Kong, Dubai, which is where they already have a presence right now.
Yeah, we want Dubai. That's the next big
money.
Thing.
Yeah, we do actually have licenses or whatever. Oh, I forget. Honestly, it was Bender 9000's article, but he was talking about we already have placements in Singapore and UAE next. But that's not the words, like that's never come out of Anthony Nota's mouth. That's just been like from real deep dives that he's done. The actual thing that he said has been Latin America. But that could be a stock price survival tactic because that really is the hottest market. New bank earnings coming out August 15th.
Okay, great. Okay. About new bank.
Okay.
Who is sharing this screen right now?
I am sharing this screen.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this just personal accounts or is this all bank accounts? Business.
This is checking accounts exclusively.
No, but okay. Is it personal or personal and business?
Well, yeah, definitely personal.
Well, obviously, definitely personal, but it says bank accounts owned by type.
No, I know, but if I'm not correct, checking accounts are not business accounts.
Business have checking accounts.
Aren't they called
business checking?
Okay, well, this is personal accounts.
Okay, so this is either way, this is very encouraging, and I think it just shows that while community banks are slightly growing, you're not seeing nearly as much money flow into them as the fintechs, and even the mega banks aren't seeing from a percentage basis. I mean, this is so
by the way,
encouraging.
just so we all know what we're looking at here. This is showing off just the net, or like the new account opens. It's not saying that fintech is the biggest.
It's not dollar value. It's just the account opens. But still, that is very encouraging for the simple fact that for SoFi to have the actual tech platform and them be able to create a white label service for any neobank, and neobanks and digital banks are seeing the largest growth on an account basis, that is amazing. And that's what gets you to a 5 to 10x over the next decade. For SoFi to reach that level is for them to get a hybrid valuation of a tech company / finance company.
Yes, sir.
There's no other company in this space as a national bank charter that is eligible for a somewhat tech valuation, because they just don't have the back end that SoFi has. Not to mention, they're not in a position to white label their own product and power the competition. Like, this is something that is so underappreciated and people aren't doing the due diligence on.
Yeah. No, I wanted to go through a couple of these slides. So let's try to just show this off really quick. So one thing that I've also noticed here is this is not just a COVID drop off. It's actually continuing to have a higher and higher pace even past that. Tevis?
Yeah, this is the argument that I brought up.
Okay. Next, going from 2020 to 2023, the amount of people, including all generations, okay, this is also including baby boomers and Gen X's, the amount of people that are actually calling a traditional mega bank their primary checking account provider is decreasing. On the other side, for fintechs, it is also growing immensely. It's slower for baby boomers, but it is still, growing like crazy. Amit, take a look at this, my friend. You better take a look and then double down.
And this just proves my point about where the younger generation is more likely to open a bank account, whether it's with SoFi or a different cloud-based platform. This is what they're looking for because of instant gratification.
And look, interesting to see the increases by the different generations. Like Gen X had it at 8, millennials at 13, which kind of like it makes sense because millennials are at that cusp of, let's say, where they're actually in the job force, making money. And then Gen Z's at 11. That number is going to grow drastically because a lot of Gen Z's haven't entered the workforce yet. And it's not that they're switching from a mega bank to a fintech or digital bank. It's just that they're unbanked right now because they haven't entered that workforce. So really interesting to see like the percentages across all of these. Gen Z is going to end up being, I mean, they're already that biggest cohort now in 2023.
I would really love to go through other slides on this presentation. I don't know what's next or before this, just because I can't see it, but I would love your commentary. This was a presentation that I put together talking about why I believe in fintech.
Can you send this to me privately when you're done?
Yeah, I can. It's just breakdowns of a bunch of fintech information. Like, for example, this is a reason why I'm a big believer in Nubank. Does anyone know, or I guess I've talked about it enough, but SoFi does not land where people think they land. They kind of land a little bit higher to the top than people would think. They have very much a traditional acquiring style versus the likes of a Cash App or a Nubank. What do you guys think about this chart? This is crazy. So this was a chart that was taking the optimism from all these fintech CEOs. And this was done in, I believe, May of 2023, so quite recently. And they said, give us a 12-month optimism based on the segment that you're in, whether it's payments, neobanking, lending, insurance, wealth management, or infrastructure. Okay. And also depending where they're located geographically. So you can see that, you can see that, this way is all the geographies, and this way is all the segments, right? And so North America across the board is kind of being just a little bit. Go ahead.
They're just pessimistic. Like they have the most red out of everybody.
Well, yeah, but the macro is bad, right? Now, where does SoFi land? SoFi is technically a payment company. They're a neobank. They're a lender. They do wealth, and they are an infrastructure and reg tech from Technisys. So we kind of land across the board here. Right?
Go to the next slide.
So this is just what I was showing off, the companies that I like to focus on. PayPal, Nubank, SoFi, and Cash App. The most exciting part, I'm just going to get the purple line out of there real quick. The most exciting part that I find, the reason why I love Nubank so much, across the board optimism is there for Latin America in every segment. And if you're PayPal viewers here, payments is super optimistic. So get rid of Fed now. People are super excited across the board. And these are CEOs. So another thing that I also wanted to talk about is that this thing where they were talking about the largest problems that fintech CEOs are finding is customer acquisition. SoFi definitely struggles with that. Companies like PayPal, for example, don't really have to fight that issue because they already have 400 million customers. Let me see what else I have in here. There's a bunch of statistics on, where clients are using traditional banks, why they're using them. You can see the reason why people are
always laughing.
He's reading chat.
It's called engaging with the community, Stephen.
Yeah, but you're not engaging in the rest of the people that are watching it afterwards. But that being said, this is the biggest problem with fintech versus traditional, I find, is the use for cash. That is by far the biggest reason. What I think is so funny though is people go, okay, most people are still with traditional banks, but where are people using their traditional banks is still computer, laptop, smartphone, 71%.
Question.
Yeah.
Amit, do you carry cash around with you every day?
No, I usually use Robinhood.
Tanner, do you carry cash around with you every day?
Nope. Can't even fit it in the wallet.
Tevis, do you carry cash around?
Why was that such a flex, bro?
I don't have my wallet.
I'm just asking if you carry cash around.
No, but I want to show you. I only carry like a 20 just in case of emergencies.
I carry cash around. But,
of course you do. Of course you do. Why wouldn't you? Of course you do.
Older.
But I also am above the age group, and it's just something I just don't feel comfortable without having cash on me. But I see it more and more. More people do not carry cash, and this is exact reason of why it doesn't matter about being in a banking system, a traditional banking system, because how many reasons are there to go pull cash out of an ATM when you have all these other methods of paying for products?
How much cash do you spend every day, Steve? Like, would you get a coffee, a lunch? Like, you actually spend $20 a day?
No, I use my credit card.
So why do you have the cash then?
Just in case. You never know when you're going to need it.
Just in case of what?
Honestly, it has come up.
Just in case.
In case of what? What scenario would you need the cash?
You never know when you're going to need it.
Are you meeting someone in an alley and you got to buy something
No,
in cash?
I will tell you a scenario.
But seriously, like, why would, if I'm going to Starbucks, why am I going to spend the money on a coffee in cash when I can get the points on my credit card? Like, if I can pay for...
So I'm asking, why do you have the cash? That's all I'm asking.
You never know when you're going to need it. Okay. So for instance,
it doesn't hurt you. It doesn't burn your pocket.
I'll answer it.
I'm just curious. I'm literally asking a simple question.
I'll answer
what do you use it for?
So when I went to go get pick up my case of Pokemon cards that I pre-ordered, I paid cash, and there's no tax when I pay cash for certain things.
Okay, on a regular day, Steve.
James just answered your question, Amit. Read it. Don't put it up on screen. Just read.
Oh, hookers don't take credit cards. Okay,
there you
that's
go.
what I wanted to. Hold on, real quick. Ryan Robbins says, "Love the hair, Amit." Ryan, thank you for the compliment.
So
okay, Steve. Now going back to the question.
Wall Street. I'm sure that Belfort would disagree with that, but go on.
I'm not. It's not even specific to you. I'm trying to think of in general. What do people? What would
I straight up will tell you?
Person look, most people don't need to carry cash, but if you're buying things, and if somebody is willing to allow you to purchase something without tax or at
I got it
because of cash, you pay cash.
Gas.
So gas. I have the barbershop around the corner, Amit. They're like, hey, if you pay cash, it's whatever, 15% lower, 20% lower. I always pay cash.
How much do you pay for your haircut every time?
Like $40.
Okay, I pay 25 and they take Cash App from me.
It's about it's Canadian dollars.
Oh yeah. I forgot.
But regardless, there's less of a reason today to use cash. All I'm saying is that more people are using a card. I will use a card for every single thing because of the points and just pay it off that month. But in instances like I don't know when the cards were coming in. I pre-ordered the case. Case cost me $630. I put a $60 deposit down. I needed $570 to pick up the case of cards. So I had cash on me. I mean, that's an anomaly, but I still carry cash regardless, but less and less of a reason to do so. And that's more and more of a reason why banks like SoFi are not going to have a problem getting new customers, because less and less people need to go to a bank and less people are handling cash.
Yeah, the largest gas station in Canada, or gas station chain in Canada, was just not accepting Visa or like no debit or credit for like 48 hours. And I'm sure they had some dispute or something with Visa or something. They just weren't paying their bill. But like for me, I was like, I only had a 20 on me, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm only putting $20 in my car. Like,
and I will say, with that comment that you guys showed, that comment's 100% true. There are
the hookers one?
No, the freaking one with the food and everything. There are many pizzerias in New York City that only take cash. There are several parking lots that only take cash. Like there are still
like Dollar Pizza. You're not going to give your credit card for Dollar Pizza, right? You're gonna.
You know what though? It is such a true shame, and actually, I find a really bad mentality by a lot of these small businesses to not want to take card. Like I find that all the time, where they're like, oh yeah, only cash. I'm like, you're gonna deny 100% of my purchase.
Yeah,
so then someone doesn't take 3%.
Several reasons they're going to do that. You don't know what they're reporting, what they're not reporting.
I know, but that's
are you saying they're engaging in illegal activities, Steven?
No, I'm just saying that there are reasons why people would not want to take a credit card. Processing fees.
I know, but those processing fees are small. There's a bunch of people that think, oh my God, these credit card companies should have no right to any of my money. But it's like, you don't understand.
Well,
why do you think
they're providing the service and the interchange and everything?
So did you guys hear? There was, I think last week, Australia came out and they were saying they're going completely cashless, and like people were freaking out because they were saying, oh, this is the start of like CBDCs. But like the entire reason they were saying is like, well, it's easier to keep track of all the money in the system, number one. And then all of this like tax evasion, illicit activities that go on are all cash only. Nobody uses Cash App to buy like large scale, drugs or whatever. So I found that to be interesting. I think it's relevant to this conversation. If more countries follow that trend and just go cashless completely, America would probably be like last to do that.
We didn't talk about kids who are in high school that can't have a bank account. They can't have Apple Pay, right? Unless they use their parents' card, they have to use cash.
Well, no. There's teen accounts now.
There's Green Dot, or there's some type of thing.
Yeah, Green Light, I think.
There's things.
Because when I was in high school, I had to buy my condoms with cash. Like there was no credit card for me to.
Okay.
So that was when I went to the quick check. It was.
No, I appreciate it. But on the other side, there is a bunch like that's also what I also think is a large level of growth for a lot of these fintechs now, is working their way down chain to like literal children, getting into the teen accounts and stuff like this, because whenever those people are growing up with a Venmo account and they're able to make that quick switch from a teen account to their own ownership owned account, that'll be an easy switch, and it's easy, like low customer acquisition costs. People freaking out about Big Brother and control and all this stuff, thinking that CBDCs are not coming. You're wrong. They're coming.
No. Look, the older generation, my generation, the older generation, definitely concerned about that. The younger generation, not so much.
Yeah, but people are the part that I think is so funny is you think that these things are going to be offered with no benefit.
Look, I know people that say, I don't care about the 1 or 2% cash back. I'm using cash for everything, because even though I'm not doing anything illegal, I just don't want the government knowing what I'm doing. I know several people like that. I mean, it's an older mentality.
Is that why you carry the cash so that when you have to buy
No,
certain
I
things?
use my credit card for everything except certain situations.
So you hold on. So you just feel good having cash to let you remind you that you're rich. Like I don't see what else the reason.
Dude, I'm not
you carry.
rich.
There was a
Steve,
time
I
whenever
saw your bank account last night. Don't
You
lie to
did
the
not
chat.
see my bank account.
I saw your bank account. You texted me a screenshot of the $5 million Pokemon cards you just bought, and then the $7 million in your bank.
What
So
a case of Pokemon cards.
Do you guys remember whenever Rogers Communications went down in Canada? That was pretty huge news.
I mean, they don't remember, but I do. Yeah, people were
No,
like,
they might. I mean, it was kind of like worldwide news. We kind of like Canada was just shut down for a day. Like,
yeah, like people honestly admit like people were going to Starbucks to like just get some Wi-Fi so that they could do work. It was like the start of the apocalypse. It was.
and you couldn't even.
when was
pay.
this? When was this?
This is last year, I think. Or
Yeah, a year and a half ago, and like one of our two biggest telecommunications services had closed down, but also that stopped terminals from paying. That stopped everything.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
a problem when you have two major companies that run everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's
like,
also the mentality of the emergency situation. You always want to have cash on hand. God forbid something happens and you need access to money and Wi-Fi goes down. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to sound like.
What if you're on the run and all your accounts get frozen, for example? And then...
Okay, I don't know where you were going to go. I would say, God forbid, EMP goes off, but.
Or if you get robbed and someone's like, "Give me the money," and you're like, "I don't have any money," and they don't believe you. Like you need, like you want my credit card, you want my
like
Apple Pay.
60 bucks. Dude, rookies. That's why you carry like 40 or 60 bucks in one pocket and the rest in the other. You give them the fake wad.
Bro, have you ever got sticked up?
No.
I've never got. I feel like it's gonna happen one day. I feel
Now
like I'm
I
a
gotta
prime
knock on
candidate
wood.
to
Why
get
would you
sticked up,
ask that?
and I've never got. Sticked
I'm
up.
a very situational awareness person.
Okay, interesting. All right, we got to do Pound Trip Weekly.
New York, like
So,
What happened
just
to
all the time.
Steve just doesn't go out. Like,
Why?
can't get robbed if you stay
But
home.
you're so situationally aware. You
No, but I mean, people walk around head buried in their phone. They earphone. Like the dumbest thing is to walk around with earphones on. Like for sure,
that's
don't
true.
do
That's
that.
true. It's not.
Do
the
not
smartest.
do that.
yeah.
Don't walk around with earphones on. Do not walk around with your head buried in your phone. Know what's around you. Know who's around you, and you know,
Yeah.
don't walk in crowds. Like
This is the best
people
comment
trying
of
to
the night.
pickpocket you are real. Like you need to be situational aware of your surroundings.
You know what's funny is that I don't know if anyone's seen it, but Mr. Beast, Jimmy Donaldson, got broken into in his house, and they took all like his computers and his TV and everything, and he had $2 million sitting on a Bitcoin address with the password on the front of his laptop, and that was the one thing they didn't touch. And it was still like the money was still there and everything. He didn't care about anything else.
He said it in a podcast too. He was just like,
Yeah,
there was a note stuck on my laptop, and it literally said Bitcoin password. It was
yeah.
like there.
Some
I've
boomer
never seen that,
thief
yeah.
that didn't even know what it meant.
All right, that's it for this week. Steve, check your Twitter. That's where the Pound Trip Weekly link is.
You
We'll
didn't
see you
send
guys
my
next week.
email?
No, I sent it on Twitter. Just
What's
check.
going on, dude? You know, email, not Twitter. Email.
All right, we'll see you guys next week, and hopefully SoFi is not down another 25%. And if it is, there'll be a dip that we should probably look.
Wait,
at.
hold on. So can we just end on this? Like, first of all, are you guys like still buyers? And second of all, like, are you going to buy or are you not going to buy this week? And if not, like, is there a price where you would buy this week? Because I'm probably going to have net new funds coming into the account this week, and SoFi is like a contender at this point in the
And you need to know what I'm doing for you to purchase.
Wait, what? You're getting net new funds because your job is paying you? Is that why you're getting?
That's usually where I get my funds. Yeah.
Okay. No, the way you said it, bro, was so weird. I'm getting net new funds. It's like I'm getting paid from work.
It is weird. Yeah.
It's pretty weird. It's like
Well,
Share my screen.
I'm getting
paid
net
by a
new
business
funds.
venture.
That's
Like net new funds.
I'm putting
What the
in net new money into the account is what I
fuck? Like
meant.
motherfucker,
This
you're
dude
getting a
runs a
paycheck.
fund.
You're getting fucking paid. Like
yeah.
That is what I am looking at.
We're expecting inflows.
I have not written any yet. But TJ, if you're watching, this is what I am currently looking at. We can have a conversation around it. The September 22nd option chain right cash secured puts at $7.50. Generate 3% on your money. That 42 days until expiration. So that 7
All right.
is the price I'm looking at.
I'm buying if the first number starts with a 7. That's when I'll get back in.
Amit, you last words? Buyer, not a buyer?
Wait, whoa. Hold on. You said back in.
No, back into purchasing. I'm
Okay,
in
let's
SoFi.
just be
I mean
clear.
buying mode.
Because if you sold, you're kicked off.
No. I'm in hold mode right now.
Okay, last words. If I have net new funds entering my account and my free cash flow is positive, I will be a buyer of SoFi. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Night.
y'all.
Later.
Peace.